Story 1. Statistically, Bugbear is the best creature to play as. It provides a +4 to strength, +2 to dexterity, and +2 to constitution with no downsides. Story 2. A tree on a butte-like mountain summit. How peaceful the life of a mountaintop tree must be, out of reach of most animals that could become pests, especially one that lives long like the Great Basin bristlecone pine, which can live up to 5,000 years. Story 3. A golden eagle. I will be federally protected and move to Washington, D.C., where I can rain my droppings down on all the people I dislike. Story 4. A future human in a Star Trek-like post-scarcity utopia where knowledge and exploration are pursuits in their own right. Or a turtle. Turtles seem really calm. Story 5. To hell with the question of what you would like to come back as. What do you think you would come back as is more interesting? Story 6. A people person, because that is my greatest downfall today, not being a people person. Edit. Girlfriend says horse. Story 7. I would reincarnate as a smartphone. Always in the spotlight, constantly being touched, and I would have all the applications to handle any situation. Story 8. Someone like me in generally the same time period as this life and in roughly the same area, but in better economic circumstances and without ever becoming mentally ill. Just have a normal, prosaic life. Story 9. A female golden retriever lives in an upper-middle-class and emotionally stable family in a one-story house with a fireplace, acreage, 4 seasons, and in a hilly part of the United States. The family also has a boat and a secondary lakefront property under 2 hours from the primary residence. Story 10. Definitely a cat with a good friend cat buddy in a kind home. No children, no dogs, just me and my owners. I am allowed out to explore, hunt, and have fun. I have a cat flap, litter box, healthy food, treats, and toys. Attentive owners give me my own space and lots of cuddles when I feel like it. I am allowed to sleep on the bed and have lots of windowsills to sit on and watch the birds outside. Story 11. A self-transforming machine elf made of higher dimensional light, or perhaps the transcendental object at the end of space and time. Something like dimethyltryptamine so I can inspire awe and wonder. Story 12. I want to come back as my father's daughter again. Even when he was alive, I realized that I loved him beyond limits, and we became extremely close. I think he prepared me to face some challenges that literally broke me. He also taught me to be strong and keep fighting for my dreams, which helped me cope with everything. If I had that chance, I would embrace him even more. He knew all my secrets, and I knew his. We shared so many things, yet we did not have enough time. If this happens, Dad, be prepared. I love you. Story 13. Living now, I feel like I would not want to come back anytime soon. But when I enter the afterlife, my perspective may change. When I do come back, I think I want something a lot calmer and easier. That probably defeats the purpose, but it is nice to dream. Maybe a mushroom. Story 14. A cat so I could roam to another neighbor's house to be fed and get cuddles. Continuing that cycle among a few neighbors and come into my home when called before dark. My ex and I had a cat that did that, as well as being queen over the other cat and the dog. I get my hair all over the place and chuckle inside watching my humans struggle to keep it to a minimum. Story 15. I would like to be a glowworm. Who could be gloomy? Who could be glum? When you have sunshine coming out of your bum. Story 16. Child of a long line of billionaires who have inherited property for generations. Also extremely handsome. Story 17. Nothing. I am really tired already. If this is my first time doing this, I absolutely do not want to do this again. If reincarnation is real, I have been here too many times. I am good. Let me rest eternally this time. Story 18. I genuinely hope I do not come back. However, if I had to choose, I would hope to come back as a person who could finish what I wanted to do. Story 19. I always tell my friends that if I were ever reincarnated, I would come back as a cat wearing a bandana. Story 20. I am an absolute believer in reincarnation, and I hope I do not. That is the ultimate goal, to stop coming back to the material plane. Story 21. Myself, to relive my life with everything a bit better. Not to the point of perfection. There are some things I went through that I am glad I experienced. just enough to make me a better individual. Story 22. A cat, specifically one that my mother adopts. You have never seen a creature more spoiled and well taken care of. Story 23. A big boulder sits on a mountain overlooking the ocean in an area of the world that can never be developed for humans to live in. Story 24. I would like to come back as a cat, yes. I live in a bookstore. I knock over books when people lie. I sleep 23 hours. I read poetry. I do not pay rent. I am strong, mysterious, and emotionally literate. People say, "Who is this cat?" I say, "I am you, but better." Story 25. Nothing. I never want to see this world again after I am done. One time is enough. Sometimes I think one was too many. Story 26. I recently had a thought. What if life is a simulation? When you die, you get 10 points to use, and you have no choice but to relive your entire life all over again. You won't remember anything, but those 10 points can be used to change things like height, weight, personality, and more. Everything you went through will happen again, but this time, you could use one of those points to push yourself in a different direction with decisions in your life. For example, should you date this person? If you don't want to this time, use a point. Remember, you only get 10 points for everything. Want to be smarter at a certain subject? Put a point towards a talent like writing, drawing, singing, guitar, and so on. What would you use your 10 points on? Story 27. Since reincarnation is a thing and you randomly reappear as another creature, I guess living like a rabbit all the time on the occasional respawn would be one situation I would accept in the reincarnation circle of life. Story 28. Eagle. Or better yet, a hawk. You still look impressive gliding around, plus you get the majestic screech. Story 29. There's a running joke in my family that if we are reincarnated, we would all like to come back as my grandfather's animals because of how much good food he gives them and how well he always takes care of them. Story 30. Can I be reincarnated backwards in time? If so, I would like to come back as a baby boomer so I can enjoy the great economy, rock music, and hippie culture. If not, I would like to come back as a bird so I can defecate on people's heads. Story 31. A bit of a buzzkill post, but if reincarnation were real, I don't think we would get to choose. Think about it. If we could choose, we would all choose to be rich and healthy. Story 32. A sympathetic billionaire, one who genuinely cares about the well-being of the common people and uses my resources for their benefit. Story 33. I have no doubt that reincarnation is real. It is the only thing that makes sense to me. I just am all of a sudden and then I am not. Where did I go, if not back into the universe and back into life? I do not believe in heaven or hell. I do not think there is an ending as we know it. I will be again and again, but what I will be is a mystery, and I may never know what I will be again. I would like to come back as a Methuselah tree or some other long-lived tree like a redwood. I am curious about the consciousness of trees and fungi, if there is one, and I love to imagine the experience of existence across centuries instead of years. Story 34. What do you mean if? I'll be a woman again. I didn't have enough time before. I'm going to need another chance. Story 35. A human with generational wealth. Money is not everything, but money is honestly very important for a decent life. Story 36. Come back as a human man with the same timeline I grew up in. I would probably be 6 feet 3 inches tall, live in a wealthy neighborhood, and help people in my community. Story 37. An over 6 foot tall man weighing over 200 pounds, so I can take walks at night without being bothered and eat a lot of food without gaining weight. Story 38. A nonfiction book allows people to either absorb and learn something or simply be left alone. Story 39. Probably a panda. I am not sure if there are any other wild animals as protected and well cared for as they are. Story 40. I do think reincarnation is real. We do not choose what we come back as, and the ultimate goal is to be one with Waheguru, not to come back as anything. However, I think it would be cool to be a bird. Story 41. I think that although animals are interesting, many have difficult existences. Humans can be very unpleasant. Story 42. Myself. To keep working towards the development of class consciousness in the hopes of a revolution overthrowing capitalism. destroying the bourgeois state, and building a communist society. Story 43. Myself, same life but all over, with all my memories from this previous life. I would make many changes and experience many new things. Story 44. It is real, and it happens as a result of not doing what it takes to reach the afterlife forever. If you do not believe it, that is fine. Please do not say that I am wrong. Story 45. Wealthy individuals who benefit from nepotism, including their children, do not need to work for money. They can live without restrictions, travel anywhere, engage in consensual relationships freely, and avoid common stresses faced by average people. Experiencing true freedom, they can enjoy the sun, explore any place they desire, and eat food beyond ordinary dreams. Essentially, anything they want is within reach, providing them with everything they could ever want and more. Story 46. I wonder what being a woman would be like. This is typically when every woman tells me they would not recommend it because of periods and cramps. Story 47. I do not think we come back in any different form or time unless we are satisfied with the life we have lived and are at peace with it. Story 48. A dog in a wealthy person's house could be a well-groomed companion padding across marble floors, wearing a jeweled collar, and enjoying gourmet treats served in a silver bowl. Story 49. I would want to be a hawk, not because it is a dangerous predator, but because it can see more colors than humans and I can fly high up in the sky. Story 50. A cat in a home of an above-average income white woman who will feed me fresh meat, or a male panda in a zoo. Just munch on bamboo, mate with another panda once every 4 years, and that's it. Story 51. I think I would like to be a woman again while preserving my memories and experiences from this life to avoid making as many mistakes in the second round. Story 52. A baby boy in a rich house with a large marble shower with glass doors big enough for at least 10 people. It is specific but perfect. Story 53. Isn't the idea of reincarnation that you do not get to choose, and your next life is based on how much positive or negative karma you contribute to the universe? Story 54. I have cerebral palsy. I would love to have 4 functioning limbs, 2 working eyes, and a normal amount of pain. Having loving parents this time would be great. Story 55. Lappet face vulture. A group of friends taking care of the scraps left by big cats and other large carnivores. They are simply cleaners for the earth. Story 56. If it is real, I hope it is not fixed that we reincarnate into the present as we currently have it. Or even on this planet. Maybe not even in this realm, this universe. Put me elsewhere. The whole idea about ghosts, God, and reincarnation stems from the fact that humans cannot perceive nothingness, which is a strange concept. People with sight cannot imagine blindness. It is difficult to comprehend. I almost wish I were blind just to understand this. You do not see black. You have no perception of sight at all. I just cannot fathom that. You can actually get pretty close by closing just one eye. Story 57. A seagull. I have always wanted to fly, and if I were a seagull specifically, I would always be close to the sea and have my fill of fish, letting myself rock on the waves. Story 58. To be honest, I hope I could be myself. I want to relive every moment of my life. I want to be with my parents, grandparents, sister, and brothers. I want to experience being in school, at home when I was small, resting in my mother's arms, or having arguments with my brothers. I want to remember when I first saw my crush, and 7 years later when he broke my heart by making his life miserable. I want to recall when I thought I found my best friend, and when I realized my best friend was someone I used to spend time with unintentionally. I want to make my parents laugh with my awkward jokes in another life too, if possible. Story 59. I would not want to come back. Reincarnation is the trap. This planet is hell. Seek enlightenment to achieve everlasting energetic life. Story 60. Honu, the Hawaiian sea turtle, swims all day, rides the waves, eats sushi, and lives to over 100, looking as good as when it was young. Story 61. I have wondered if reincarnation is real. Do people reincarnate into inanimate objects? For example, what if a person like Hitler were reincarnated as a toilet, and people have been using him without ever knowing? Story 62. Stop fantasizing about going down to the grave. Ashes to ashes never come back. Only if you are reborn again is there a chance for eternal life. Story 63. I am assuming a rule is that if you say cat, you are not able to choose whose cat you are now the pet of. What if it is a bad pet owner? If I had a good owner, I would be a house cat because I know my cats can see the TV, so I would still be able to watch my programs. The same with a parrot. If I were a wild parrot far away from poachers and trappers, I would choose to be a parrot. Live long, look awesome, eat bugs and seeds, do not have to hunt for food, can fly, and like to chill on a branch. But if I am in a cage for 50 years, I would be a parrot with a death wish. Story 64. An eagle or a bird that cannot be hunted. I want to fly and see the world from above and go wherever I want in the air. Story 65. I really hope it is not because I love this life I live already and I am satisfied. But if I were to come back again, maybe like a flower or some sort of plant, maybe like a vine, if I had to be living, then being human would be great. But the chances of me being born this privileged again are really slim, especially considering the direction we are heading. So I would rather be born as something like an otter or, I do not know, whatever animal has a social lifestyle and not many predators. I do not want to be at the zoo though. I think I would really like being a squirrel, but I am not sure. If reincarnation is real, I do not think we have much of a real choice. Story 66. It is not for me to decide or yearn to come back as a specific thing because time is not linear. I am all things always and also nothing simultaneously because of non-duality. Everything exists only in the now. We all return to the big cosmic soup for recycling when we die. Is what comes back out. Again, the same essential soul as what went in, wrapped in a different shell? Are we all, at our deepest essence, fragments or facets of the same singular essential soul? Can we ever truly know? All that said, whale. But not with the way our oceans are going. A whale 1,000 years ago would be remarkable. Story 67. A fully healthy, non-disabled, neurotypical ENTJA personality type, highly extroverted, conservative Republican, Christian, genetically privileged, heterosexual, white American, Generation X cisgender alpha male born into his biological, Christian, conservative Republican, generationally wealthy family bloodline as the oldest first child in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, California, on January 1, 1956. Graduated high school in the mid-1970s as the most popular and beloved hallway group leader and jock. Graduated from private college on an athletic scholarship and thrived in the corporate world with a successful business. Retiring with my high school sweetheart wife in our 30s. We had 5 or more children, continuing the generational wealth. Basically, living the most carefree and easiest life possible on the planet. Story 68. A 6'3" handsome white college student from a loving suburban American household with 2 wealthy parents and 6 siblings. Story 69. Human. It would be great to get a second chance with the knowledge and appreciation for life that I have gained. Story 70. I would love to come back as a human again. I love life. This has been an amazing journey. I am surprised so many people say they would not want to come back. Life is what you make it, people. If you open your mind, there are so many amazing things in this world. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.